Hello and welcome to Prime at 9. I'm Esther. These are the headlines. Kulbhushan Jadhav, the Indian international on death row in Pakistan, got the right to appeal the sentence as Pakistani Parliament passed a bill enabling him to do so as ordered by the International Court of Justice. A magistrates court declared former Mumbai Police Commissioner Kartarpur Singh a proclaimed offender in an extortion case registered against him and other police officers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hand over Made in India combat helicopters, drones and advanced electronic warfare suites to armed services chiefs during the Rashtra Raksha Samarpan Parv at Uttar Pradesh's Jhansi on Friday. Nearly 300 people have tested positive for the novel coronavirus after the COP26 summit held in Glasgow earlier this month. Now for the news in details. Kulbhushan Jadhav, the Indian national on death row in Pakistan, got the right to appeal the sentence as Pakistani Parliament passed a bill enabling him to do so as ordered by the International Court of Justice. Pakistan claims that Kulbhushan Jadhav is a spy, while India maintains that he was abducted from Iran while conducting his own business. Jadhav was sentenced to death by a military court in Pakistan 2017. India had then approached the ICJ and was able to obtain a stay on the Pakistani court order. In 2020, Imran Khan government had presented an ordinance in Pakistan's National Assembly in accordance with the International Court of Justice verdict. Pakistan's opposition parties had opposed this move. ICJ, passed at The Hague, had asked Pakistan in 2019 to ensure effective review and reconsideration of the death sentence handed to Jadhav and also given instruction to provide him consular access. A magistrates court on Wednesday declared former Mumbai Police Commissioner Kartarpur Singh a proclaimed offender in an extortion case registered against him and other police officers in the city. The crime branch of Mumbai Police, which is probing the case, had sought the proclamation, saying that the IPS officer could not be traced even after the issuance of a non-bailable warrant against him. Under Section 82 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, a court can publish a proclamation requiring an accused to appear if a warrant issued against him or her cannot be executed. As per Section 83, after issuing such a proclamation, the court can also order attachment of the proclaimed offender's properties. Former Assistant Police Inspector Sachin Waze is also an accused in the case registered at Koregaon Police Station in the city. The Business Advisory Committee of the Assembly had its sitting on November 16 in the committee room under the chairmanship of the Speaker of Nagaland Legislative Assembly, Sharing N. Lunkumar, and finalized the provisional program for the 9th session of the 13th Nagaland Legislative Assembly. The committee discussed a business to be transacted during the 9th session to be held on the 25th and 26th of November. Updates on Wednesday informed. The following business would be taken up during the session: obituary references, questions, reporting on assent to bills, laying of reports, laying of the Select Committee's report on the Surface Act of 2002, presentation of Assembly Committee reports, introduction of government resolutions, statement to be made on government resolutions, consideration and adoption of government resolutions, unfinished business, if any, and adjournment of the session. Signed I, the updates informed. The 34th Annual General Body Meeting of the Indian Red Cross Society of Nagaland State Branch was conducted on Wednesday at Raj Bhavan in Kohima. Addressing the gathering, Professor Jagdish Mukhi, Governor of Nagaland and President of the Indian Red Cross Society Nagaland, said that the IRCS of Nagaland must evaluate and increase the membership of the Red Cross in various categories such as patrons, vice patrons, life members and others. The involvement of public leaders and dignitaries strengthens the image of the Red Cross, enhances awareness about the noble aims and objectives of the Red Cross and increases participation for the overall benefit of the community, he said. Mukhi expressed happiness that the Red Cross has achieved remarkable accomplishments over the years through its humanitarian services, including reaching out to the poor and less privileged sections of the society, particularly in times of emergencies. The governor, however, reminded that Red Cross must always adhere to their core principles that are voluntary service, humanity, impartiality, unity, neutrality, independence and universality.
I am happy to see that Red Cross has achieved remarkable accomplishments over the years through their humanitarian services, including reaching out to the poor and less privileged sections of the society, particularly in times of disaster.
Mukhi reminded of the mission and goal to prevent and alleviate human suffering with complete impartiality, making no discrimination as to race, sex and religious beliefs, language, class or political opinion, he said. This is especially important to remember the light of the many issues that divide the society today, including tribalism, factionalism, corruption, religious intolerance, favoritism and others, he said. Also speaking on the occasion, Abhin TCK, chairman of the IRCSN, informed that they were holding their annual meeting after an interval of 2 years owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still not over yet. In spite of the challenges, he maintained that the IRCSN has been very active in extending invaluable relief and help to the people. The Chief Minister of Nagaland, Nephew Rio, inaugurated the Gorkha Public Panchayat Multipurpose Hall, Chanmari in Kohima. While addressing the congregation, Rio congratulated the Gorkhas of Kohima for coming up with the multi-purpose hall. He also stated that the state will not only look into matters of non-indigenous inhabitants becoming a permanent resident and also ensure that they live a comfortable life. Let us get more details on this.
Carry out your responsibilities. Indeed, we are truly fortunate to have you all. Thank you.
I want to congratulate the Gorkha community living in Kohima for establishing a new Gorkha Panchayat for a multi-utility purpose hall in Kohima. As you are all aware, our Gorkha friends, when I look at it and when I went over traveling abroad, I've seen a strong presence of Nepalis, the Gorkhas community, in many important countries and cities. And even in Nagaland, we have heard that they had lived here even before the Second World War, or let us say pre-India independence. Their presence in Kohima is felt very strongly, and we learned that they made friends and have very close relationship with the decal of Kartarpur, who has adopted and giving them all the protections till date.
While hearing cases relating to increasing air pollution in the Delhi NCR, the Supreme Court on Wednesday observed that TV debates are causing more air pollution than anything else and everybody has their own agenda. A bench of Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana, Justices D.Y. Chandrachud and Surya Kant said some people want to use some issue, make the court observe and then make it controversial, and then only the blame game will remain. Debates on TV are creating more pollution than everyone else and everybody has their own agenda, the judges said. The observation of the bench came as Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, appearing for the centre, raised the issue over television debates, which claimed that he had misled the apex court on the contribution of stubble burning to air pollution. There have been nasty occurrences on TV to show that he misled the court on stubble burning, Mehta told the top court. To this, Justice Chandrachud said that the court was not misled at all. It was said to be 10%, but it was pointed out in the affidavit that it was 30 to 40%, the judge said. Senior advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi, representing the Delhi government, told the bench that the centre's figures on stubble burning contributions say it varies from 0 to 58%. The UN Climate Summit COP26 in Glasgow this month resulted in the close to 300 people testing positive for COVID. A preliminary assessment concluded that 291 positive COVID-19 tests were linked to COP26 related activities. Speaking to Holyrood, Nicola Sturgeon, First Minister of Scotland, confirmed that there have been no substantial increase in cases. She said that in order to minimize the risk of COVID transmission, strict measures were put in place. For example, anyone entering the main summit site, known as the Blue Zone, had to show evidence that their lateral flow test result was negative. Before entering the venue, attendees had to provide evidence of a negative lateral flow test. Mask wearing and a rigorous cleaning regime were also enforced. Public Health Scotland reported that approximately 4 out of every 1,000 members of COP26 tested positive for COVID through routine lateral flow testing. According to the First Minister, this all suggests that mitigation measures were successful. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hand over Made in India combat helicopters, drones and advanced electronic warfare suites to armed services chiefs during the Rashtriya Raksha Samarpan Parv at Uttar Pradesh's Jhansi on Friday. The 3-day Rashtriya Raksha Samarpan Parv, which started today, is part of the centre's Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations to mark the 75th year of independence. According to the government statement, the Prime Minister will hand over light combat helicopters designed and developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to the Chief of Air Staff. He will hand over drones and unmanned aerial vehicles built by Indian startups to Chief of the Army Staff and Advanced Electronic Warfare Suite manufactured by Defence Research and Development Organization for ships to the Chief of the Navy Staff. No improvement was witnessed in the air quality of the national capital on Wednesday as the air quality index in Delhi continued to remain in the very poor category at 387, according to data from the Central Pollution Control Board at 10 a.m. today. The pollution level in the national capital region, especially Noida and Gurugram, witnessed a drastic deterioration. The AQI in Noida dropped from the upper end of very poor category to the upper end of the severe category at 479 today. The air quality in Gurugram has also deteriorated from yesterday but remains in the very poor category at 352 according to the System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said that women's contribution in the armed forces is increasing ever since he came to power. Unfortunately, after independence, women didn't receive the opportunity to play a very active role in defending the nation. But now situation is changing rapidly. Their contribution in our forces is increasing ever since Prime Minister Modi came to power, he said. All closed doors in the armed forces are also being opened for women. We have increased their representation in all the 3 wings of the armed forces. Portals of NDA have also been opened for women, said Singh.
लक्ष्मीबाई के लिए उनका एक महिला होना रणभूमि में कभी बाधा नहीं बना था। नारी के अबला होने के विचार को हमारे समाज में बहुत लोग मान्यता दे रहे हैं, मगर उन्हें महारानी लक्ष्मीबाई, अवंतीबाई, झलकारी बाई जैसी वीरांगनाओं के शौर्य और पराक्रम को देखना चाहिए, जिन्होंने रणभूमि में बहादुरी का बेमिसाल परिचय दिया। उन्होंने साबित किया है कि महिलाएं अवसर मिलने पर रक्षा और सुरक्षा के मामले में बहुत प्रभावी भूमिका निभा सकती हैं। यह करके उन्होंने दिखाया।
Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot inaugurated the newly constructed buildings of the District Transport Officer's Office in Balotra, Shahpura and Bhiwadi. He also inaugurated the Regional Transport Officer's Office in Jodhpur through video conferencing. On this occasion, the Chief Minister stressed on making the process of issuing fitness certificates and licenses of vehicles more transparent. The CM said that it should be ensured that the license is not issued without taking the driving test. He also directed to make good tracks for driving tests and increase the number of private fitness centers. The Chief Minister expressed that road safety is a national issue. Pilgrims feel happy after performing darshans at Darbar Sahib in Pakistan after opening of Shri Kartarpur Corridor. After the opening of the corridor today, pilgrims had gone to pray at Gurdwara Darbar Sahib in Pakistan through the Kartarpur Corridor. The pilgrims said that this was a very good decision of the government and they are happy to be part of the first Jatha and perform prayers at the Gurdwara Darbar Sahib. They said they were welcomed by the Gurdwara Committee of the Sindh in Pakistan. According to the pilgrims, nearly 20 people had gone today for the prayers from India. The Kartarpur Corridor was opened from today after it was closed due to the pandemic.
पहले दिन और पहले ही था मैं मुझे बहुत अच्छा सौभाग्य मिला है ये जाने का और बहुत अच्छा मतलब प्रयास था गवर्नमेंटों का जिन्होंने ओपन किया है और दोनों तरफ से बहुत अच्छा स्वागत हुआ है।
सर मेरे को बहुत खुशी है कि मैं अपने आप को खुशकिस्मत समझता हूँ कि जिस करके मैं पहले जत्थे में और पहले 5 बंदों में था जो मैं वहाँ जाने वाला था। दिल में बहुत मतलब मैं अपने आप को खुश नसीब समझता हूँ कि गुरु नानक देव जी ने कृपा की है कि हम लोग वहाँ जाके दर्शन दे के आए।
पहले हम 5 ही बंदे थे जो गए आज और बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस, बहुत अच्छा उन्होंने सम्मानित किया हमें, जो वहाँ के हेड ग्रंथी है उन्होंने सम्मानित किया, ये सरोपे दिए, माला पहनाई, प्रसाद दिया अपनी तरफ से, हमसे पूछा कोई दिक्कत परेशानी, बहुत अच्छा लगा।
Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party National Convener Arvind Kejriwal promised to form a taxi corporation if the party comes to the power in Goa Assembly Elections 2022. Arvind Kejriwal said that taxi people from Goa told him that politicians there called him the taxi mafia. This is an insult as nobody is listening, and if the party's government will be formed in Goa, it will form a corporation including 1 to 2 officers and taxi drivers, he said.
गोवा के टैक्सी वालों ने बताया मुझे कि सर हमें यहाँ पे पॉलिटिशियन लोग टैक्सी माफिया बोलते हैं, हमारी ढेर सारी समस्याएं, हमारी कोई सुनवाई नहीं है सिस्टम के अंदर। मुझे बताया गया कि सरकार पॉलिसी बनाती है, ऑटो टैक्सी वालों से पूछा नहीं जाता, ऐसी पॉलिसी बना दी जाती है कि जिसकी वजह से आप सब लोगों को बड़ी तकलीफ होती है। तो हम एक कॉरपोरेशन बनाएंगे, उस कॉरपोरेशन में 1-2 अफसर होंगे और बाकी सारे ऑटो वाले और टैक्सी वाले होंगे, वो चलाएंगे उस कॉरपोरेशन को, वो बनाएंगे गोवा के टैक्सी वालों की पॉलिसी।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the districts of Uttar Pradesh and will launch multiple development projects worth over rupees 6,250 crore on November 19. As per Prime Minister's office, at around 2:45 p.m, Modi will inaugurate multiple projects in Mahuba in a significant initiative to alleviate water distress. These projects will help alleviate the issue of water shortage in the region and bring much needed relief to the farmers. The projects include Arjun Sahayak Project, Ratauli Wire Project, Bahuni Dam Project and Magaon Chili Sprinkler Project. The second edition of the Zunapoto District Division Winter Cup, organized by Fusion Cup in collaboration with the 32nd Assam Rifles, is underway at the Zunapoto District Sports Council ground. Speaking at the inaugural program as the chief guest, Zunapoto District Deputy Commissioner Peter Lichamo said sports is something very important, as friendship grows when people come together to play and they get to know one another. He said that in sports, one needs to learn discipline, cooperation and obedience to one's team.
Sports is something very important. It's a friendship with the sports. You come together, you come to know each other, you play together, you know each other. And in sports, you learn one or two things. You need to learn discipline. You need to learn cooperation. You have to cooperate with your team. You need to obey obedience. So these are a few things that the sports will teach you. Therefore, I wish all the teams that are here to cooperate with each other, have friendship with each other.
In a short speech, the commandant of the 32nd Assam Rifles lauded the organizers, as sports always promotes happiness and positivity in the environment, and where there are sports going on, there are lots of positive vibes going on. He encouraged the team, saying that sportsmanship is more important and winning or losing is just secondary.
I'm very grateful to the Fusion Club for organizing such an event, because sports always promote happiness, sports promote positivity in the environment. And when there are sports going on in a place, there's a lot of positive vibes and there's a lot of energy which is there in the environment. The only thing that I would like to tell you is that may the game be played in the spirit of the game. Please follow all the rules. Sportsman spirit is most important. Winning and losing is secondary. Sportsman spirit is more important. Wishing all the best to all the teams. May you have a good game. Play hard. Don't get hurt. May you have an injury-free game.
That's all for the news. I'm Esther. Keep watching Hornbill TV.